All right, in this last video within the implementing responsive design series, I want to focus on making our images responsive. So in this slide here, you'll see that it's one easy way to make our images responsive is that we would target the image, whatever image we want to target within our design, and we would give 100%. So in this case, we would change the width or the max width to 100%. And I'll talk about the difference between max width and width. Max width is saying that this is the maximum width that this box can go, right? And so it's able to shrink as small as the box is able to shrink, but it cannot expand beyond this certain point. And so if we were to put, for instance, let's see, like 50 pixels here, that means that that box can go as big as 50 pixels, but it can shrink. But width, that box will remain static and constant at 50 pixels. So anyway, getting back to here, if we put, if we give it a percentage and say 100%, the image is going to fill the box up until 100%. It's going to fill 100% of the available space. So let's do an example of this. I have a code pen, and right now I just have a placeholder that's holding my place of my image, and I have the exact measurements, 400 by 400. But if I were to go grab an image here, let's grab this image here. So we'll copy the image address and we'll go back to our code pen and let's paste that in. Now this image is a little bit bigger than 400 by 400, but watch what happens here when I place this in, right? It expands beyond the box. And so if I were to, so the box is behind this image. Just to demonstrate that, if I change the height to about 500 pixels, you'll see that the box is below it, right? So it's not fitting inside the box like I want it to. But let's say, for instance, I wanted this image to fit within the box and make it respond to whatever is contained within. So that's, in a sense, we're making this image responsive. One easy fix would be to target the image. In this case, we're going to target all the images that are nested within the div ID box element. So we'll say div ID box or pound box, and we'll give it a max width of 100%. And so what you'll see is that that image is going to fit within that box and be contained within that box. And so that's a simple trick to get your images to fill the available space that they're nested within. There's a few other things that we can do with images here. One is called the picture element, and we're going to copy this this element or this tag here, and let's go ahead and go back to our site, and I want to make a few adjustments here. So here's the code pen, and let's go ahead and paste that code in. And it's kind of like a media query where we have these various expressions or conditions. So at this expression of 650 pixels, trigger this image, right? And notice that the attribute is this source set, and that the 465 trigger this image. And then by default, this is the image that should display. So these three are nested within the overall picture container. So let's go and grab some pictures here. I'm going to grab this picture again, and this is going to be my default image. So I'll copy the image address and I'll just paste that as my default image. And I'm going to grab two more images. So let's go on and grab this one here. Let's copy the image address and we'll paste it here, and let's grab one more image. Let's do this one here. Copy the image address and we'll paste that one here. All right. So so at 650 pixels, and we have to condense our browser to see the actual change that'll take place. And so at 650 pixels, the minimum width of 650 pixels, we're going to get this image, right? And then at the minimum width of 465 pixels, we'll get this image. So that's going to condense our browser. And you should see that these images will flip, or a new image will appear once the browser width is meeting the particular expression. So here we're going to condense. I think we have a small error. I think I have too many, let's see here, too many G's in my JPEG. Let's see if that'll fix the issue. So we'll save it. Okay. So now if we condense down, a new image should show. Yep, there's a new image. And then if we were to go smaller, right, we would see another image. So nonetheless, at 650, we'll see one image. At 465, at the minimum width of 465, we'll see another image. And then by default, this is going to be the image that'll display. So let's do this here. So we take off the height. We should see the default image. Not quite. But nonetheless, you could see you could get creative with altering various images at different screen widths. And I think let's see if we up this up here. It's about 800. There we go. Now we can see all the images there. Again, like I said, it's a nice trick that we can actually trigger new images at different screen widths. What's the practical use case of this is that sometimes you want you don't want the picture to lose dimensions, and you want an exact picture to show a certain way. And so you can trigger new images to show at certain widths. And it's like I said, it's a nice quick hack that aids you in making your site responsive. Last but not least here, it's the viewport meta tag. And essentially what this does here is it communicates information to the browser about the screen width of whatever device is rendering the site. And this is one of the meta tags that you've placed on that you should place on every project, every assignment. And one of the things I mentioned previously is that without this particular tag, we've all run into the situation where we're on our mobile device, and for some reason on that mobile device, it's pulling up the desktop view of the site. Why is that happening? It's because even though the site may have a mobile view, the site is not able to, or the website is not able to, or the browser is not able to recognize that there is a mobile version, and so it's only displaying the desktop version. But this meta tag, this viewport meta tag, is what mediates that matter between the browser and what is stated in the code. And so there's a lot of different things you can do with this viewport meta tag. You can change the initial scale of the site. You can target certain devices so that your website would show a certain way on certain devices. But nonetheless, this is the meta tag that does the magic in terms of allowing our site, so allowing us to understand what is the actual width of the window within the browser, so that our site can respond accordingly. Here's a video. This is Microsoft Future Vision video. And one of the things if we were in class, I would show this video. And one of the things I point out is that what is responsive design, and where will responsive design be? What is responsive design 10 years from now? So right now we know it as responsive design within our computer screens, right? But could there be an instance of voice interfaces or speaking? Could that be responsive design? You'll see a lot of glass technology or this flexible paper technology. And how do you begin to design or make your applications responsive for different mediums? And so this is a good video. I would say if you have the time, go ahead and watch this video. And you'll see kind of some of these things that we're already implementing, and some of these things are far-fetched in this video. But nonetheless, the way that we define responsive design in today's world may be different 15 years from now. And so, like I said, primarily the way that we describe design or responsive design today is more so within the computer screen and different devices. But 10 to 20 years from now, it may be how do we reimagine our applications on glass or on a billboard or some of that nature. So there's much more to be said about responsive design, and I think this is going to be one of those topics that we'll continue to revisit and redefine what is responsive design when new devices and when new mediums are more accessible and ready to be used by the general public. So that concludes our video series on responsive design. like I said, if you can take a stab at the activity that's within our lecture here, or within our presentation, that's extra credit. And go ahead and post your response, your HTML file to the discussion board. All right.